welcome to That's What We Think with Connie and Steve. Hello, Steve.
Hi, Connie. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Very good. And again, this is the laughing. It's just because you
Yes.
smile. When it's the countdown, she's smiling. It always
I'm
makes me.
smiling because you know why? Because when you smile and talk, it makes your voice lighter and more friendly as opposed to like when
Right.
you're yeah.
Yeah.
Even though this topic makes me want to go,
And it probably will. Oh my God. So,
we
so
have to
we
talk
are
about the
living.
tomfoolery of the United States
That's right.
politics.
We are living in a weird timeline right now. Do you know what somebody wrote on social media? That we all died from COVID and we're all in hell. And this is
It's possible because it kind of
and
feels
I
like it.
I know, and I laughed because I'm like, maybe he's right. Because I'll tell you, this timeline is not fun
No.
at all.
Oh, actually, my grandfather used to always say that this is hell. There's no such thing as a like dying and going to hell. This is hell
Yeah.
or it's heaven. It's up to us. And it's
Mm,
through our actions that we make it heaven.
yeah. Well, I
And
apologize for
our
any incense.
apathy,
Yeah,
he turns it into hell.
I agree. It just made me laugh a little bit because God knows
Yeah.
we need some levity a little bit. Right?
Yes. Yeah. And so the biggest thing that I always hear Americans saying, "Why do you care so much? You're in Canada. It doesn't matter." Well, I'm sorry. Your government, your self-proclaimed king has said that we are going to be a 51st state. We
And
are
listen,
now involved. He's also slamming us with tariffs. We're
right?
now involved. The things that are being done down there are affecting us, whether indirectly or directly. Sorry, we're
Yeah.
involved. We have an opinion about what's going down there, and we're going to voice it.
What was his in Project 2025? Was Canada? I don't know if you've read it. I haven't.
I never read the whole thing. I only read a bit and then was like, this is like,
Me too, just a bit, and based on even what people were saying about it,
yeah.
which
I
was
don't remember seeing anything
I'm
in
just
there.
wondering how we got into his
We're part of his desire because he wants our
minerals,
minerals. He wants our
minerals,
minerals,
and
he wants our
water.
oil, he wants our water.
That's
Our
right.
water is probably top of
One more
what they
scary
want.
thing, he wants access for his friend, especially
Oh,
up
yeah.
north
Yes.
For Putin. And
Yeah.
I think that's because I thought this. I don't recall this being as part of that because people would have mentioned it. I'm sure
Mhm.
this singular focus on Canada, and it's been. I go for moments where I'm like, he's just talking shit. Just ignore him. But then other times it's been endless with his
Yeah.
focus on us. And I'm starting to think, are we going to be Ukraine here? Is this going towards? Is this
Yeah.
the result? Is that what he wants?
And then blame us like he's blaming Ukraine
Right?
for whatever war or whatever it will happen. Because he'll say, "Well, Canadians were, like, not being very friendly to us. They were reciprocating with tariffs, and we had,
Right.
not letting us have their minerals or turning off our electricity or, whatever the case might be," because those are our reciprocal threats that we're thinking of doing is literally turning off their electricity.
Yeah. Recently, CBC, Ian Hannamansing did a should we even consider discussing 51st state or something along those lines on his program. And the outrage from Canadians has been unbelievable, as it should be.
Yeah.
Because to entertain the topic is just so sacrosanct. It obviously instantly makes people angry. It is a terrifying topic, and no one wants to entertain it. And I think they did make a mistake in regards to entertaining this thought.
I
How
know a
how do you
lot
feel
of
about
young people
it? Right?
who have said that they will take up arms to defend our country if needed. They don't want to because most of them are pacifists. Canada is usually a pacifist until we are forced to not be.
I can't believe that we're here. I'm 53. I'll be
Yeah.
54 this year, joining my dear friend in that age group here.
Oh,
But
I'm well ahead of you.
I look at movies When we talked about movies a couple of episodes ago, I look at some of the ones in the 90s and the 80s, the ones that are American made, and I
Yeah.
actually stare now wistfully at a time when something like this just wouldn't even, a person like Trump
No,
would never be in a position of
Red
power.
Dawn.
Was a
Red Dawn. The
terrifying
Russians are
movie.
coming to
Yeah,
take them. Guess what? The Russians took over them, and they didn't have to even fire a shot.
nothing.
They
And
were
that's where we
welcomed
are.
in because Trump voted alongside Russia
Russia,
and
North
North
Korea,
Korea.
yeah, and
How
China.
is that even like no, China stayed out. They
Oh, they did?
abstained from
Oh, I
voting. They
thought it was
didn't
them.
vote.
Okay. All right.
So
So it's
they
North
they stayed
Korea.
neutral. They didn't end up voting.
Fine.
But you're voting alongside Russia? When did this happen? Like literally it feels like we are in some kind of parallel universe where the US and the USSR are the same. And I know that Russia is not the USSR. I'm just
It's like the greatest generation died for nothing. And
yes.
that to me is the heartbreaking part of it. And none of these Republicans, do they not have grandparents? They didn't listen to what they termed as the greatest generation.
Yeah.
And now all of their fighting was for naught? Really?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. So let's discuss, Con. Let's
Okay.
let's get into our situation.
Nitty-gritty list of things that have been happening recently. Well, along with the Associated Press being kicked out of any press briefings,
Yeah.
a number of other news outlets get their information from the Associated Press.
Yeah.
And that includes Fox, that includes CNN, that includes all of them. They all get their information from the Associated Press and they've kicked them out. Now they're inviting, it's by invitation only,
Hmm.
who get to be in that sanctum of press, which
The White
are
House.
independent ones, independent media. So, and some people might think that's not bad, that's better. Independent media means Breitbart, Washington Examiner,
Yeah.
those type of independent medias
Is
who
Sinclair in part of
are,
that as well?
oh,
Sinclair
possibly.
Media? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. They're another one.
The
Okay.
media that is favorable to Donald Trump are the ones that are being invited into their press briefings.
Don't tell me they didn't learn lessons from his last election.
Of
These
course not.
people have completely understood that this is the way to go in order to
Yeah.
control. Again, it's once again it's about controlling the message, which we mentioned in a previous episode about the importance for political, specifically political groups who may not want to do what is right for their people, need to control the message so that
Yes.
it's not going to
And
be
not learning from history,
counterattacked.
clearly,
Right. Or
because
learning
what
from
was
history.
or yes, or
Right?
learning from history. Hitler took away the right of the freedom of press,
Hmm.
and then, as if it was a gift, and said, "I'm saving it," gave it back to the people. That was like a cloak and dagger type of thing, though, because he gave it to them as in, "This is my media that you're
Yeah.
gonna be listening to, my news that you're gonna be listening to, and nobody else's, and no dissenting voices will be heard."
One of the things that we talked about whenever when we plan our episodes, we have an idea in mind of what we want to talk about, and we plan ahead. And one of the things that Connie and I wanted to do, but didn't have the opportunity to do because we didn't have enough time to research, because we really wanted to make sure that if we were going to do a Black History Month episode, that we had the time to put it together and do it in the way that it should be done.
Yeah,
However, things have
and this
changed
is probably
so
gonna be airing
quickly.
after
That's right.
February
It will
2nd.
be not after at the end of Black History Month. But I will just say this: what's happened recently in American media, in particular for African Americans and people of color, has been a bloodbath.
Oh, yeah.
MSNBC has lost some of its loudest vocal Black and people of color
Yes.
hosts on their TV show. They lost Joy
Joy
Reid,
Reid.
they lost Katie Fang, they've lost. I have a list of people. Lester Holt has recently stepped down as anchor. Will step
Did he
down as
step
anchor.
down or was he
He
was
will.
let go?
He said he's stepping down. However, I don't.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think the winds
because
are
Joy
blowing.
was Joy
Oh,
was
she was
released.
unceremoniously let go.
Yeah.
Absolutely, as was Jonathan Capehart, who is a Black and gay reporter, host of the TV show. I also have Amen. I can't properly pronounce his last name, which unfortunately I'm so sorry about that, but he's Egyptian American and also very vocal against Donald Trump. Rebecca Cutler is the woman who's the current president of MSNBC. She was responsible for the bloodbath at CNN, and now she is continuing her reign of terror over at MSNBC. What's been interesting has been the response by the current host, like our amazing Rachel Maddow,
Yes.
Lawrence O'Donnell, Nicole Nicole Wallace. But in light of Black History Month, to see the removal of Black voices on a medium and a media on this level, on this scale, is so. As a Black man, I am terrified and shocked and angry that we are here, that this is not a joke. There is an
Yeah.
alarm bell ringing loud and clear for us all to see.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that this is part of ratings. Please don't. I'm not interested in hearing
No.
that
Joy
aspect.
Joy Reid's ratings
We're good.
were and are amazing.
Yeah.
What
Now
was
she's
the
not.
reason for letting her go?
I'm
Because she
waiting to
was
hear it.
vocal. Oh yeah,
Well,
they're
they're
not
not
gonna
going to say
share.
it. They'll say vocals and they'll say
No.
media buy ads and all the other
Yeah.
stuff. But no, no.
Yeah.
Now,
You
granted,
know
she's
what?
not perfect, but
Yeah.
still.
Well, of course nobody is though.
Right. But even she admitted that not everything was done perfectly, but she was still a voice
Yes.
for an advocate for Black women, Black men,
Yeah.
people of color, gay, lesbian. She was a voice
Yeah.
and it's been taken away. I'll tell you, Connie, as an ending to Black History Month, I find that is just, I wonder if it's even going to be celebrated moving forward. I do wonder.
Well, no, because Trump administration already said that they're no longer having Black History Month. They're no
Okay.
longer
I didn't
having
hear that. Okay.
Jewish Heritage Month. They've taken
Okay.
away a whole bunch of different
Pride?
things for them. Of course, they got rid of
Absolutely.
pride. They
Yep.
got rid of the T in
That's right.
LGBTQ.
Yeah.
So that is their one,
Okay.
of course they're going to be doing that. And you
Yep.
keep on saying to me with our podcast that we are documenting history and that
Yes.
we are going to be the voice, whether it's even if it's just for
For how
us
long?
and for our own children to go back and go, oh my God, this was happening. It amazes me the history that we're documenting, and we're not a political podcast.
No.
We are talking politics every so often because it affects our lives,
That's
and
right.
we do need to talk about it, and we do need to make sure that we are marking these things that are going down.
We
Mhm.
can say, and just to be specific to mark it down, that this is February 26th, 2025. I'm making
Yes,
that known that the episode, which will be
is being
released later,
recorded. Yeah.
but it is essential for us to mention that this is happening on we are recording February 26th, 2025, because
Yes.
we are in history.
I'm afraid of actually by the time we end up airing this podcast,
Yes.
the more things that
Of
they'll end
course.
up
Of
doing in
course.
between today and then is gonna
That's
be
oh,
crazy. The one thing that they are talking about doing, and this is JFK Jr.'s little project, is to get rid of SSRIs.
RFK Jr.?
RFK Jr.,
Okay. Yep.
who is their, health minister or whatever you wanna call him,
Right.
he is banning SSRIs. SSRIs are an important drug for people with bipolar, anxiety, so many different things
Yeah.
that you are using SSRIs for. And they are planning on taking these people with these conditions
Hmm.
and the homeless to a farm. That is the plan. And have
Okay.
them work the land and get the help that they need. It just made me think of, who else? What is this giving? It's slavery, maybe? Because you're being forced to work the land. Handmaid's Tale, because,
Yes.
Handmaid's Tale had the handmaids,
Yeah.
they had the Marthas, and then they had the other people that
Yeah.
they sent out onto farmland
Yeah.
to work the land.
Yeah.
It's also giving, dare I say, concentration camps.
That's what I was waiting. Yeah. Yep. All of
And
those.
and I
All of them.
don't say this lightly, and I'm not saying it's giving death camp, not yet. because the death camp did come after the concentration camps. You
Mhm.
have to know your history. It didn't all start with killing, it just started with moving them to a different spot where they can, do be out of the way, out of sight.
Yeah.
Let's take these our sightly homeless population and put them somewhere else. Now, the idea behind giving them help and helping them get off their substance abuses or getting them the mental health and stuff like that,
Mm.
fine. But part of the mental health help is their SSRIs. There's a
Oh, yeah.
reason why your brain is not making the chemical it needs
Mhm.
to function
Mhm.
the way the rest of our brains in society works.
Yeah.
So, in order to be a functioning person,
Yeah.
you need this
You need
medication.
Yeah.
And
Well,
taking it away is going to be disastrous for so
absolutely.
many people. I'm floored by it.
It's Connie, it's life-saving cancer research and medication. It's insulin, which the Biden administration had lowered the cost from to $8, but now it's zoomed right back up
Yep.
because of executive orders thanks to Trump for me. Like it might be over $60 now for those important life-saving drugs that they need. It's the
Which feels like $1,000 if you don't have that money.
it is critical, and this again is directed more towards people who voted against their interests because it's mostly them that will rely and need the help to
Yeah.
afford these drugs, these things that are being
Yeah.
removed.
Well, they were fed by their
I've
media.
just
They were fed by Fox News that Project 2025 wasn't real.
wasn't real. It
And
wasn't
we
going to
said
happen.
so many times, it's real.
Mhm.
Read it. Read it. It should be essential reading to know what you're getting into. He is right now working through the lines of Project 2025 and just doing everything that is said on it. And everyone keeps on going, okay, well, these are executive orders. So, not all of them will be passed.
Yeah,
Even if 50% of them are passed,
it's
it's
still
still dangerous to you. It's
well.
still detrimental to the country.
They just passed a $2 trillion budget, which would impact all levels of their society, from veterans to the elderly to people who rely on these benefits to maintain some semblance of a life. And the Democrats all voted no, which to
Mhm.
their benefit, congratulations. However,
There's not enough of
217
them.
voted for it, 215 voted against it. That's the way Congress is working right now. And that means that regardless of their
Yep.
ability to say no, it still will be
Yeah.
passed because the Republicans control the House and the Senate and the presidency. They
Yeah.
control all of it,
Everything.
everything. So,
And in all of that, who is controlling Musk?
mhm.
Or President Musk, as most people like to call him. He's going into these agencies and cutting.
And not to mention infiltrating personal information. That's a
Yes,
big
and
one.
decimating it.
Huge.
Like, I just don't understand how that hasn't gotten every single person up in arms.
I just think that we're not being shown. There are protests. I know that.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it's apparently very loud. However, it's just not reaching the masses in a way that the drama of Elon Musk and all the other stuff, like that stuff seems to be, well, let's report about that rather than the fact that
Yeah.
there are people who are really pissed. Now, with that said, about people that are pissed, I'm going to mention a woman named Dr. Teresa Borenpol. I hope I'm saying her name right. Dr. Teresa Borenpol. She was a woman who happened to be in a meeting in Idaho. I don't know if you actually caught this, Connie,
I
about a
heard
woman
about
that
it. I
was
did not
dragged.
see it.
Again, Dr. Teresa Borenpol literally dragged from an auditorium for espousing views that were against what the main forum was about. The shocking part wasn't her being dragged out. I mean, it was shocking that she was dragged out by these three men, these goons who
Hmm.
work for security firms. But the fact that, first of all, she's a white woman. Everybody in the auditorium was white. There
Hmm.
was men and women in that
You
auditorium.
said Idaho?
Yes.
Yeah.
They all sat there, all of them,
Yeah.
and did nothing.
That's the
And for
problem.
women, I am sorry, white women, if you're out there saying sisterhood, sisterhood, this is an example of you supposed to be for sisterhood here, to save one of your own, and you did nothing. She watched another woman being pulled on her behind out of a theater, and you sat there and did
Yep.
nothing. And you wonder why fascism has happened in the States right now, because y'all
It's
are
the
sitting
silence.
there on your ass and doing nothing but
Yep.
watching. It happened in Germany. It's happening here. It happens anywhere that there's fascism. How do people say, how does this happen? This is why it
Yep.
happens.
It
People
happens
who
because
sit
of
there
people not saying anything.
and,
The silence is more dangerous
oh
than
yeah,
the outspoken Nazi.
Con, I could still, I mean, the video is everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm not even watching uh, Dr. Bornpal. I'm watching the women who are sitting there, like just staring.
Yeah.
It's forget the men. There's
Yeah.
just
Well, she did
they
have,
are
I did
they are
hear
out to
somebody
lunch
say that she had bigger balls than all the men that were in that room.
without a doubt. And the
Yeah.
fact that the singular voice of this woman was more powerful than anything they could have said, which is part for
Yeah.
the course.
Yep.
Absolutely. And congratulations to her.
Yeah.
And she's been quiet. I'm sure the media wants to talk to her, but they
Yep.
haven't yet. But I think to me that that's the face. That situation is fascism right there,
Yeah.
and why it is in our face right now.
Yeah.
Now, God bless us in Canada for wanting to speak up against that 51st state bullshit. There are people that are very vocal here and will be,
Yeah.
which is
Oh,
great.
yeah.
But the states, I'm worried about them, Con.
I don't know. There was a video that Trump put onto his social media.
I saw that.
It's not a fake, well, it is a fake video.
It's
It's an
fake.
AI generated video, but he actually, or somebody that has access to his literal account,
Truth
put it on
social.
his social media of Trump Gaza. There are still bodies of children under that rubble. And this is what you're doing? He is the most disgusting and disturbing video with the golden Trump statue in the middle of Trump Gaza. And the comments, God bless Trump. I'm sorry, in the Old Testament, the Torah, after Moses led the Jews out of Egypt, and they had been in the desert for a real long time. The men were, getting anxious or thinking, God's not coming to save us, or let's build this golden cow
Hmm.
so we can pray to the golden cow to get us out of the desert. They went to the women to ask for their jewelry
Hmm.
so they can make this golden cow, and the women refused because you're not supposed to pray to an idol.
Hmm. Hmm.
You're not supposed to do idolatry.
Yeah.
This is idolatry.
Yeah.
And whether you're Christian, you're Jew, you're Muslim, you're not supposed to actually be praying to idols. They've turned Trump into their god, their idol, and they're worshiping at his feet. And I don't understand it. And I know it's a cult, and I know that cults happen all the time, and it's difficult to know you're in a cult while you're in it. But I mean, if he gave them Kool-Aid right now,
They drink it.
spiked with arsenic, they'd
Yeah.
all drink it.
Well, people were saying, well, we never quite understood how the Jim Jones
Yes,
in the '70s situation happened. Well, here
absolutely.
you go.
This is it.
This is it. Do you want to see it? This is
It's just
exactly it.
just on a
And Jim
larger, more
Jones, by the way,
scary.
that is, yeah, that is a very, I know that's a Gen X reference. It's a very old school. I understand for people that are younger, you won't get it. But Jim Jones was a huge story back in the '70s and how he
It's an
managed
American
to
cult leader.
cut leader. He was in Guyana, and oh, it is a heartbreaking story. And the difference between then and now is social media. That didn't exist back then. So you
Right.
actually feel sorry for people and it actually makes him more powerful than Donald Trump in some respects because he used the power of his voice
Yes.
and some literature, but mostly him, the charismatic figure. Donald Trump is a feeble old man who still somehow manages to
But he
utilize
has the reach far
the
and
reach,
wide with
exactly, the
social
social media. Exactly. I watched that video and it's devastating. And for people to praise that is
Yeah.
sickening. But I think about us talking about this stuff, it really could put us in a situation of potential trouble.
Yeah.
But I thought about this a lot, especially over the last week, and realized as long as I can, I want us to be able to talk freely and
Mhm.
openly about the situation and what's going on out there, and providing our obviously this is what we think. This is but
Mhm.
based on reality and based on what we're seeing in front of us, based on fact, and not be afraid to express our anger and worry and fears and hopes too on this situation currently happening right now within the United States. And
Yeah.
I look at that situation and I my eyes are wide open and I am afraid for them. And also for us because we are right next door. And because of our proximity, you can't help but side eye.
Mhm. You
And
have to.
and anybody that's up here advocating to join that, I just don't know where your head is.
Yeah. Well,
I
I can just say that if my next door neighbor was cooking meth in their house,
yeah,
I would be concerned because that house could blow up and take my house partially with it.
that's right.
And that's what we have right now.
That's right. Do you think this woman, I can't remember her name, that I was reading about on Threads, was saying something about The Handmaid's Tale and how women in the States need to stop referring to that in regards to their situation that's going on right now in the United States? But people were responding by saying, well, it is based on reality. It is based
Based on
on
what was happening.
what
Why
has
was she
happened.
saying that we have to stop using that
Because she
reference?
was saying that it's too easy of a cop out for people to say, well, this is just like The Handmaid's Tale without doing the extra research of saying, well, how do we stop this? They're so
Well,
busy
yeah,
comparing it to The Handmaid's Tale without going further. And people are saying, well, the book itself is an indication that things were this is based in reality. This is people
yeah,
using that as an example to say, look, what's going on is
right.
happening. So
Yeah,
don't dismiss it. It's not
I
fiction.
think you can still use it as a reference
Yeah, I
to
agree.
say that this is what's happening, but you need to not just stop there. You actually have to do something to stop it from continuing. And I don't know what that is.
Connie,
Mm.
what happens to the elderly? Where are the minorities? What happens to them in that book?
Minorities
Are they
doesn't
shipped out to
actually
those?
say anything about the minorities, but the
Okay,
elderly are shipped out to the farm.
okay. I was curious to know what happens to our parents or their parents or whomever it is, like in that book, what happens to them?
Yeah.
And I can't, could you?
And I know that the show, the TV show,
Yeah,
which the final season's coming out soon, I think in April on Hulu and HBO, that it has addressed what happened to June's mom. She was sent to the farm.
okay.
It was a very long time ago that I read the book. Emily recently read the book and she loved it. To me, it was fiction. This is no longer fiction.
Not fiction.
No, no.
It ain't
Getting rid
fiction.
of women's right to an abortion is not fiction. And getting rid of, whenever anybody says, oh, I'm pro life, being pro choice is not pro abortion. At no point in time do you want to have an abortion, but you want to know that if there is a situation where you need to have an abortion,
Right,
that it's life saving, that you've had a partial miscarriage, that you are able to have the necessary medical treatment, which would be considered an abortion when you have a partial miscarriage, in order to save your life. There have already been women in the US that have died thanks to this new legislation that, thanks to Trump, is there. And he's taken credit for it. There's no words. There's no words.
that's I'm silent. I and even it's taking my breath away that this is we're talking. This isn't. We're not talking about a book. This is
No,
happening.
this is happening. It's
There's.
actually
Do you want to hear
current
something?
events is what
What's
you
crazy?
call it. Current
Oh, I know.
events.
It's current events. There's an act called. I don't. I'm sure you might have even heard of this, Connie,
Mhm.
called the Save Act. SAVE Act,
No.
which it's about voting,
Mhm.
but it has the potential to disenfranchise 60 million married women who changed their last names
Yes, I've heard
to their
that.
husbands' names, which
Yeah.
may result in them, I can't believe this, not being able to vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am laughing in shock because holy MF.
Right. Could you imagine
Jesus.
giving your vote to your spouse and being okay with that? I mean, I don't know. David and I we love talking politics, and he will take the opposite side just so we could have that
Of course.
engagement
Yes.
of back and forth and everything. And sometimes I wonder sometimes because he's so good at it if he actually believes in it. But I could not imagine not having a voice. 'Cause that's what that is. That's taking your voice away. That's
Yeah.
taking your opinion away of saying what you think doesn't matter because you're a woman.
Your
That's
property.
gross.
You said something earlier in this conversation, just the fact that we're here. And some of the reasons given are legitimate. One of the reasons that I find that we're sort of avoiding, for good reason perhaps, but I think it needs to be addressed, is in some respects, I feel like this is a revenge. This is the revenge of
Oh,
certain men.
it's yeah, it is.
And this has been culminating for years and years and years. And this is it. We knew stuff was happening, but for some strange reason, I don't understand why the Democratic Party didn't take it seriously. But regardless, here we are. There has been undercurrents and just digging away ever since any sort of equality has been
Yep.
allowed in the states. Anything, civil rights, women's right to vote, all of it, abortion rights, all of these things, has just made a certain group angrier and angrier, and they have been digging and digging away. And the minute that Reagan was voted in, it's started to propel
Yeah.
faster to make those changes to revert right back to the way that they believe was better.
Yeah.
And some
Better
like
for only one segment
for
of
only
society.
one. It's and whenever even now, like some certainly the undercurrents I find with certain political groups, I often think you're not mad because of this reason or taxes. You're mad because another group of people are perhaps getting a little taste of the pie
Mhm.
and you don't want to share at all. You have
Yeah.
no interest in sharing, none, no interest at all. And even if it's just a little crumb, nope, can't have that. And that's exactly what it is, Connie.
Yeah.
For people like me, for you, it's us having an opportunity to just get a little crumb.
Yeah.
But that's too much food for them to give up
Yeah.
because it is all about control and wanting to make sure that we don't have a say. Period. And that is what's happening now. Those people have won, and by God, they're going to make sure that they stay in power because they've
Yeah.
given up too much of it. So here we are. And the fact that it's taken this effort for people to wake up and open their eyes has always concerned me. I've always thought underneath that things are happening,
Mhm.
and we love
Oh,
you
Trump
love
is a
politics, right?
symptom
For heaven,
of
yeah.
a much bigger problem.
It's you look at these guys and women
He didn't
that
get there on his own.
how do these women support these men?
Ugh.
Because of access
Yeah.
and they're close to power, so they
Yes.
won't give it up. Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
That is exactly it.
all
They're
right,
they're very comfortable,
and that makes them more dangerous.
Until they're uncomfortable, nothing's gonna change for them. Going back to The Handmaid's Tale, it's Serena,
Okay, so just
right?
to give context for people that haven't read the book or read or watched the TV, explain just a little bit more about the character, just for context, because I'd like to hear it. I'd like to know.
So there was
No,
somebody with a
okay,
PhD,
okay.
a woman that helped with writing Project 2025, saying that women shouldn't um, shouldn't work toward higher education. It's not
This
their
is The Handmaid's
place.
Tale
No, no,
or
no. This is in reality.
reality. Okay, okay,
Reality. Somebody who
okay.
worked on Project 2025 said that women should not work to get their higher education. It distorts the family unit and family values and what's important. in this world. And the irony is this woman has a PhD.
Hmm. Okay.
That blows my mind. So Serena in The Handmaid's Tale is very similar to that in that she wrote a book about family values and getting back to basics and everything. She didn't realize what she had done because her proximity to power gave her privilege
Right.
until all of a sudden she wanted to use her voice
Right.
and they cut
And
off
they
her
wouldn't allow
finger.
it.
They wouldn't allow
Wow.
it. They cut off her finger and punished her.
Okay. Oh,
The other thing that I found interesting was at the governor's
interesting.
ball. Did you see the video from the governor's ball?
No.
So this is a ball that is hosted by Donald Trump and Melania.
Wait. This was at the White House. Was
Yes.
it the military choir?
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I did
The
see that.
military choir sings from Les Mis.
Ah!
The room is silent. Now, I don't know. Some people are saying that he picked the song because it's one of his favorite songs. Other people are saying that the military picked the song because of what the song stands for. And if
Right.
he picked the song, then he's showing his absolute ignorance because he
That
has
he's an
no
idiot.
clue
Yeah.
what the book, the play, the movie, any of it meant
Yep.
or what that song stood for.
Yeah. I read that and I heard that. And I
Yeah.
laughed because I thought, these people, and maybe, and to be perfectly honest, Con, I'm sure a lot of them had no idea the significance of the song. They probably just heard a lovely tune. Isn't this lovely?
I think that they did actually
Oh,
because
you do?
yeah, they were,
Were people shocked or
yeah,
upset?
they were quiet. The looks on their faces were stunned when they zoomed in on the governor sitting there. Yeah, they were not,
Wow. You don't
yeah,
think that, do you, I mean, do you think that it's it was a because I can't picture Trump picking something and then no one out of Pfizer saying, you know, Mr. President, that song is about blah 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 blah, and him
yeah,
dismissing it. Like I have a feeling, do you think the military, because they've been under siege by
I
the
know.
government completely. I mean, he's again under the
Whoever
guise
picked
of
that song is not gonna be employed for very
yeah,
long.
okay, yeah, because that was pretty powerful.
Yeah,
And it's blown up. You're right. I didn't see the faces. I just heard the song,
yeah,
and then the description underneath, and thought, wow,
yeah. It's a great song.
oh yeah. But the meaning and symbolism behind it,
Yeah,
that's hugely significant in light of everything that's gone on down there.
yeah.
So, well, I also heard that he's planning on tinkering with the Second Amendment
In what way?
because, well, because of the changes that they're starting to make in regards to citizenship and their access to services and health and all the things that they have used to getting. And I
I was
think
waiting for him to do something.
the reason being that they want to tinker with it is because Americans are heavily armed and because that they are tinkering around with
Yeah,
their health care and everything else, the
they're gonna
fear
get
of
angry.
retribution, which is why
Yeah.
they're
And what's so funny is that they voted them in saying that he is not gonna touch their
that's right.
guns. And I'm
That's
waiting
right.
because 'cause I'm like, "He's going to."
I will say that if civil war breaks out in America, I will not be surprised at all simply because of the fact that the way things are going is indicative that either martial law or some sort of war is going to be happening within those borders unless reason comes to play here. I don't know if in 2 years' time there's even going to be elections for the midterms, which they usually
Yeah.
tend to have. Signs are pointing to me that the tinkering of the Constitution, and because they have the numbers and power to do it, Jesus, Americans, what the hell were you thinking? You really hated
Oh,
Kamala that much?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This all could have been avoided. You could have had peace in the valley. Your kids could have peace in knowing
Could
that
have
they
had
would
an
be protected.
intelligent person at the helm.
And instead, because you hated her that much that you wanted this?
Yeah.
Really? For God's sake.
Yeah. What's so funny
I
is
don't
there was a
know.
lot of people that, a lot of left-wing people, a lot of liberals in the States that voted against
Against
her
her.
because they thought that she was going to be more pro-Israel.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sorry. What was that again? Trump Gaza?
They had all those protests against her. Where are they now? How come there's no
Yeah.
protests against Trump? Not a peep.
Well,
Where
I
are
had
they?
I had, you know how when you wake up in the middle of the night or something with the words rolling around in your head, and you had
Yes.
told me, "When that happens, write it down."
Yeah.
So I wrote it down, and for whatever reason, I don't know why, it was Doge, the word Doge,
Yes.
and what that actually stands for was Donnie's Oligarchs Get Everything. That's what was rolling around. That's what woke me up. I'm sorry. Yes, I do
I think
watch.
it's true. No, 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 no. It does work, doesn't it? Don't you sleep better once you do get up and write it down? You do. It
Yes,
really,
I
really
ended up
does.
I did end up going back to sleep as opposed to continuing to roll it in my head. But
Exactly what you're
yeah,
supposed to do. I mean, we keep, again, I know that we've repeatedly said this about our place in history with this podcast, and it's alarming. And we can't sugarcoat the alarm. And the fact that we do know as much as we do what's going on in the States indicates that, yes, we are living in very difficult times right now, hoping that reason will eventually see its way through.
yeah.
And knowing that there are definitely judges and they still are doing their best to kind of keep the dam from breaking, although
I don't know
and
how.
signs are showing that Donald Trump is planning on overruling or completely ignoring
Yeah,
these rulings that the judges are making. Still, I'm praying for some semblance of, I don't know, something that's just going to break through to people, do something, and stop the madness. For Christ's sake, you need to do something, or else we are all going to pay for this.
yeah.
Not
And
just
I do know I
Americans.
do have to say this before we go,
Yes.
just because it is so important. And I know a lot of people hate it when the Republicans are called Nazis.
Okay.
However, they keep on proving time and time again that they're more aligned with the fascism of Nazis than not. As I said earlier, they took the T out of LGBTQ,
Yeah.
and the German Nazis. Just for a bit of history, so that you know, the Nazis destroyed the library and research of the Institute of Sexology in Berlin in 1933. That was their very first attack on the LGBTQ community.
Hmm.
They first got rid of trans people because, trans people have always been around. They always will be. It's just that's the way it
They're a
is.
target.
Just it's they're the smallest community
I know.
within the LGBT community, let alone within all of humanity. Why you are so threatened by them, I'm not sure at all. So
I'm
so they've
still
done this.
perplexed by that
Yeah.
completely.
There are 9 states now that have introduced measures that chip away at same-sex marriage.
Hmm.
State Republican Josh Shriver
I saw that
of
recently.
Michigan
Yep.
brought to Supreme Court to overturn Obergefell versus Hodges, which was in 2015.
Hmm.
2015, 10 years ago. So they're trying to dismantle marriage equality.
Yeah, I guarantee you he's probably a big mo because honestly, if he when did he do this at CPAC? Because
Yeah.
apparently Grinder crashed again
I
at the CPAC
know.
convention because all of these in the closet, self-loathing gay men are just despicable. I just utterly, and the fact that he's so that these some of these people are so focused on our trans allies is insanity.
Yeah,
But they're
there are
insane people.
391
For God's sake.
anti-LGBTQ bills currently
Yep.
in the US that have all come up recently.
Yep. Project 2025, people really did not pay attention. That was a big mistake.
No.
But I do wonder, Con, even if people were literally forced by gunpoint to read it, if they would, and
Yeah,
still, and they would vote the same way. I wonder if we're at that point
I
where
don't
even
know.
there is documentation right in front of you if you're going to believe it. And that
No, I
scares me
think I
more than
think it's
anything.
it's the don't believe your eyes, don't believe your ears. Believe
1984,
me.
aren't we?
Yeah,
We're here, aren't we? It's 1984.
it is
The
19
book.
this is
It's
make Orwell fiction again.
yes.
Don't I don't want it to be
That's a good one.
reality. It's supposed to be fiction.
Mofa, make oral fiction again. Mofa, I love it.
Well, it's
We're laughing, but God knows we have to.
yeah,
Just
it's what is it? FAFO, FAFO,
Yep,
and that's
we're
what's
here.
happening.
Yep. How
You
do
hear
we
people all of a sudden having regrets, and you're thinking, "How did you not know?"
well, then you know what we do? We do what we're doing, which is raise awareness as much as we can,
Yeah.
still do our fun stuff, but every once in a while, we will take a break into the scary territory that this is and raise awareness and get people to pay attention
Yeah,
as much as you can. For the love of God, pay attention
yeah,
now, or for the love of whoever,
yeah,
right? For
yeah.
whatever spirit, okay? And on that note, I have to say this for those of you that are listening, thank you again for your support. Because Connie and I, as much as we love talking to each other, and we do love talking to each other, as it's very clear, we also love the fact that people feel comfortable enough to listen to us on the basis that we provide them with these episodes. And that means a lot. So thank you, thank you, thank you for your support.
Yes, we really do truly appreciate each and every single one of you who are listening. We hope that we can do this for as long as we can. And you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Apple Music, iHeartRadio,
Mhm.
Amazon Music, and anywhere that you get your podcasts from.
Yeah. And of course, if you are in the mood to write an email, please do so. I know these days it doesn't seem like people want to do that, but I love reading them and Connie does too. So
Yeah.
please at the Connie and Steve at gmail.com, just give us a shout and let us know what you're thinking.
And if you don't want to write an email, that's fine. You can just scroll
Do it,
down on
do
the
it.
podcast
Do it. No, I'm
and
kidding.
hit comment and send us a short note.
Yeah,
Let us know what you think, your thoughts on this. I mean, I know it's a heavier topic than what we normally do,
it's true. It's true.
but
But
we are
nonetheless
marking
important.
history,
Yeah,
unfortunately. I
that's
don't
right.
want to live in history anymore.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
But you know what? We have each other, and that's why we do this because Connie and I provide solace in what is a
And we make each other laugh.
yeah, exactly. We just look at each other like, in these
Yeah.
crazy days. So yeah, but thank you for joining us, and my dear, dear friend, I love you. Thanks for
Love you
talking.
too.
I'll talk to you later.
Anytime. Okay. Talk to you later.
See
Bye.
you later. Bye, Con.